Hi, Michelle Oliver. Thank you so much for being here. I just want to share a little bit about what I have learned about franchisees and franchisors over the years. When I was running a marketing agency, I worked with a lot of different types of businesses, small businesses, and I wound up working with a lot of franchisees because I started to notice a pattern. A lot of the businesses that I worked with, I saw many thrive and just grow like crazy, and I saw many fail. And the pattern became very evident. So I want to tell you a quick story. This is a true story. It's an example of just one franchise that I met. And the reason I want to share this is that I have seen the exact same pattern repeat over and over and over again. This particular couple, I remember very distinctly because it was April 1st in Colorado, and it was one of those special days where it snowed after we'd had this gorgeous week where all the tulips were coming up the last week of March, and then April 1st. So because I remember joking with them about this, April Fool's Day joke. They were like the perfect couple to buy a franchise. She had been in teaching for 20 some odd years. She was very good with people. So she was really excited about the customer service part of this. They had invested in a very trending pizza concept, and it was very cool. And they were very excited about it. He was a chef. He had been a chef at a lot of very high-end restaurants. So he'd been in the restaurant industry, and they were stable financially. They checked all the boxes. They had done their research, everything they had going for them. So when I met with them the first time, we had a great conversation, and I was so excited for them. And I brought their attention towards the end of the conversation to the three areas that I absolutely knew they would need support with. And that was general entrepreneurial mindset, which everybody blows off because you don't know what you don't know. You just don't know until you're into it what you wish you would have known. So that was number one. Number two was organic social media marketing. Now, one of the biggest challenges in the franchise world is that corporate takes care of so much of it. And that is an essential piece of being successful. I mean, you've bought into the brand. So you've bought into this brand, and they might be a big brand. They might be a newer brand, but that's what you're buying. You're buying their systems and their operations and a successful business model. That's the value. And what almost every franchisee doesn't understand is the extent to which you need to understand organic social media marketing in your local market, and how to do that and how to make it really work for you. I'm not talking about paid ads. I'm talking about the organic social. So that was number two. And number three is building the culture, building your brand within the brand. So as important as it is to stay within the guidelines of the overall brand concept that you have purchased, the power of your business comes from building who you are within that brand. We were talking about these three things, and they had the same reaction that many franchisees do initially, because you just invested all this money. So their answer was, no, we got it. We understand organic social. We're not going to worry too much about that. Corporate's got it handled, and we've got grit, and our people love us already. Okay. So that is not uncommon. And what happened was they felt like they didn't need support. So I loved these people, and like everyone, when I'm out and about, I kept stopping in, and we would meet, and I would buy lunch and try to send people over to them to help them. And every time I met with them, I could feel the tension. I have seen this happen. I saw it happen 5 times in 1 year in the town I live in. It's just a very common problem. So what happened was, one day when I was in there, the wife pulled me aside and said, she explained how bad things really were. They were about to lose their house. They were having problems with their kids. They wanted to leave a legacy for their children. Like, they had one kid in high school, I think, and one in college. And they were at a point where they had more time, they had money, they invested everything into this, and now everything was falling apart. So again, I said, look, this is what you can do. And you know, there's paid advertising and things you can do as well. And we went through all of this, and she said, absolutely, let's meet with all three of us with my husband. Well, the next day I got a call. It was just too late. He had decided he was going to suck it up, take on more hours, cut staff, take on more of the basic work himself rather than working on the business. He was going to work more and more hours in the business, and they were just going to push through, right? Well, the story ended terribly because they wound up closing and this happens all the time. You can't explain to someone, it's a closed, fixed mindset where you think that you just turn the key and magic happens. And it's true that magic happens, but these are the three areas I have seen again and again and again. And it's kind of like at the beginning, do you remember that old nursery rhyme where the horse is missing a nail in the horseshoe? So because of that, he goes lame, and for want of a nail, the shoe was lost. For want of a shoe, the horse was lost. For want of a horse, the rider was lost. For want of a rider, the battle was lost. For want of a battle, or whatever. Anyway, at the end, the whole kingdom falls apart because of this little tiny nail that nobody thought was significant. It's this tiny thing. It looks tiny, but I can see you're going to lose the kingdom if you don't address this up front. So I just want you to understand. I want to save you a lot of headache, a lot of time, a lot of money, and help you be leveraging everything you can from the very initial beginning. Now, what you can do just with culture and tying that into your organic social media marketing is unbelievable. And through doing just those two things, the entrepreneurial mindset starts to grow. So everything fell apart. And then they start saying, well, you know what, maybe the market was oversaturated. There were just too many pizza restaurants. And maybe it was the staff. It was a bad concept. You rationalize your result. And this is what we tend to do in so many areas of our lives. In this case, they rationalized closing the business. But from my perspective, because I've walked this with so many other people, I'm a little bit further up the road. I can tell you it wasn't the stress, the truth, and the challenges that we don't expect to encounter these particular problems. And by the time we recognize them as problems, we are shorter on time, we're shorter on energy, we're shorter on resources than we ever expected to be. And the reason they finally closed and walked away, they were not the reasons they thought. You know, you might die from a bleeding wound, but avoiding falling on the knife would have prevented the bleeding in the first place. So truly, what I'm here to tell you is these are preventable problems, but they are difficult to prove the value due to the perspective of the franchisee. The actual cause was their inability to be open to seeing outside of the franchise construct in the very beginning, which is completely understandable because it is correct when investing into the franchise that you're buying into the systems, you're buying into this proven method, but you don't know what you don't know. So we're going to explore that a little bit in the next video. Thank you for hanging in there with me, and we'll get to the solution in just a couple minutes.